Hi, this is John with Remodeling Wizards of Maryland, and I'm here today as part of our ongoing series to help you as a consumer select a contractor. What I want to talk about today are the things that you should be seeing in writing from the contractor. Let's start with an estimate. Well, I think it's perfectly fine that a contractor is on the phone with you or comes out and visits you and gives you a estimate verbally. So this is an estimate in my mind. It's not the exact price, but this is an estimate to give you some idea what things cost. Preferably, if the contractor can do it before they come out to your home, I think that's an ideal situation because in that case, you may find that the estimate is way too high. It's outside of your budget, and if it is, it might be time to rethink the project itself. But that again, if it's an estimate, it's not an exact number. It's something that I'm okay if somebody gives that to you verbally. But now, at some point, though, you want it to be a quote. Once it becomes a quote, this is an actual price. And that needs to be in writing because if it's not, you may have a problem down the road when the project starts and there might be some question. Well, I said it was 10,000, but it didn't include this and it didn't include that. So you want it in writing. You want the number in writing, and that's a written quote. Included in the quote should be the scope of work. What do I mean by scope of work? That should give you some good, specific definition of what the project is encompasses. So, for example, if you're getting a new deck put on your home, well, it should have the size of the deck. It should talk about the materials that are being used, treated lumber or composite, or vinyl rails. It should have those details and should even talk about the color and specific brand names. You want all of that to be written into the scope of work. And in addition to that, you should also see the price. So we have a scope of work, and it says the contractor is going to cover labor, materials, or it may say that the homeowner is going to provide materials. But all of that needs to be spelled out very specifically, and it should be a list of items that you and the contractor agree to on how this project is going to get done. And then once you see the scope of work should also have the quote. The other thing that I like to see, even in the quote, is well, how am I going to pay for this? How much money would I put down up front? What is this draw schedule? Now, a draw schedule contractors use because a contractor can get a deposit up front. And in the state of Maryland, you can get up to one third of the project. So if it's for round numbers, if it's a $9,000 project, you can get a $3,000 deposit. And then after that, it's really up to you and the contractor to make a decision on what's the next payment. Is it when the contractor starts to work, or when the contractor orders the materials, or and so on. And then when is the final payment? Is it at completion or substantial completion? That's a term that's used a lot. And substantial completion, what we're talking about there is that basically the whole project's done. You can use the deck, or you can use the bathroom or kitchen, but there may be some odds and ends left over, like some touch-up paint or some minor adjustments. So substantial completion is one point, and then there's a final completion when everything is 100% done. And sometimes contractors will allow you to hold back some money for those last few adjustments. So all of those things should be put into the written quote. And the quote should be in writing, different than a verbal estimate. A quote should be in writing. Next thing that you want to make sure it's in writing, and that's your final contract, your agreement to do business. Once you get to the final contract, they call it either an agreement or a contract. What you want to have in there, just there's a lot of information you need in there, but I'll just give you a couple things that should be in there 100% of the time. First of all, you need to have the contractor's contact information. I mean, you just don't want the name of the company. You want the contractor's name, the company name, the address of the company, the phone number, the email address, as much contact information as you can get, because during the project, you're going to want to have conversations, and maybe even after the project, when you have some warranty work, you might need to call the contractor back. You want to have good information so you know how to contact the contractor that's working for you. The other thing that you want to have there is an MHIC number, Maryland Home Improvement Commission. That's the license that a contractor is required to have to do home improvement work in the state of Maryland. And that's critical that you have that information because as a consumer, you have certain rights under Maryland Home Improvement Commission. You can go on their website and you'll get plenty of detail on what your rights are and also some more information about what you should see in contracts. Um, the scope of work again, make sure that the scope of work is included in the contract. That's the list that we just talked about. Your draw schedule should be included in the contract. Now, let's say that you're in the middle of a job and you want to make a change. Well, you can do that. But if you make a change, it should be done on a change order. So another written document. So you decide to change the color of the deck from gray to a tan color. That should be spelled out in writing before the change is made. Now, there might be a cost associated with your change, and that cost should also be spelled out in the change order. Um, so, those are the things that need to be done in writing. And some other things in the contract, a real important issue in the contract is what happens if there's a dispute? Is there an arbitration clause in the contract? If there is, it should be spelled out so you know exactly what the arbitration clause is. And that's usually there's a dispute, you go to an arbitrator and it gets settled there. And you do have other rights beyond that if for some reason the settlement you're not satisfied with. But typically, if there's an arbitration clause, you want to start, if there's a dispute, start. Well, let me say this. Let me back up a little bit. Always start by talking to the contractor first and try to settle it before you go to arbitration or before you go to a court or before you go to Maryland Home Improvement Commission. Always try to work it out. It's just better for everybody if you do that. And it's usually a quicker resolution. The last thing I want to say about the contract, something else you want to make sure is in the contract, and it should be based on the Maryland Home Improvement Commission requirements, is there should be a notice in there about a right to rescind. So, for example, if you buy something, you sign the contract, you have up to 5 business days to cancel the transaction. So that's just up to you. You have those 5 days. They're business days. You have up to midnight on the fifth day to make the cancellation. Now, if you're a little older, 65 plus, you get a few more days. You actually have up to 7 days to cancel the contract. Same thing, you have up to midnight on the seventh day. But those are the things that I would make sure it is in writing. It's not everything that should be in a contract, but hopefully that gives you some starting point. And again, if you have any questions, just give us a call, shoot me an email, or just respond to our Facebook page, and I definitely would be happy to get back with you and help you out. Thanks for listening.